So, Bernie Ecclestone thinks there's no problem with Bahrain. Kimi Raikkonen talks about how he feels at home with Lotus, and Fernando Alonso says Ferrari's new F2012 car is far from ready. This is the Lewis Round F1 update. So Bernie Ecclestone has replied to the MPs after they plead with the billionaire not to race at Bahrain this year. But Bernie Ecclestone sees no reason for this season's Grand Prix to not go ahead despite violence flaring up again in the island kingdom. Of course, last year lots happened in Bahrain which caused the race to be cancelled. A member of the Bahrain Centre for Human Rights has launched a fresh plea for the race, which is scheduled for April the 22nd, to be cancelled once again. But Ecclestone has told The Guardian in response to the letter sent to The Times, I expected there was going to be a big uprising with the anniversary, but I think what happened apparently was that here were a lot of kids having a go at the police. I don't think anything serious of it at all. It doesn't change our position in any shape or form. So Bernie Ecclestone stamping his point across that he is not going to change, he's not going to cancel the race unless something, very bad happens. At the moment, there hasn't really been anything near the substantial, the same region of seriousness as last year's. So I think, as it is at the moment with the news, there is stuff happening in the capital, but I think at the moment, since the Grand Prix is in April, still plenty of time to decide, there's no reason to cancel it as yet. So Mercedes, speculation they were going to launch their car on the 21st of February, that has now been confirmed by the team. They will unveil their W03 on the 21st of February in Barcelona. That's also the first day of the second pre-season test. If I have a look, the team who decided to run their 2011 car course in Jerez to sort of mainly test them, so they could put 2012 parts on the car, but also mainly to see what the new Pirelli tyres are like and collect data, so then they could do any last-minute changes, adapt the car to suit the tyres a bit better. Of course, it looks as though the Pirelli tyres are grippier, a bit more consistent, so they might adjust the car. Maybe they were going for they can make the car not too grippy for the drivers. They can do minor changes to the main setup of the car, so it's very useful. The Pirelli tyre, they took a different route. It might end up working for them. We don't know until you try it out in testing. But of course, Michael Schumacher and Nico Rosberg hoping that this car is finally the car they can challenge for race victories and maybe even the championship. They've been struggling the last 2 years, haven't really improved much, being the fourth quickest team, but still lagging behind the top three teams. But this could change. It could change this year. We don't know. A lot of teams are watching eagerly, anticipating the Mercedes car being launched, and it's not that far away now. Just less than a week away until we see the new Mercedes. We're still waiting, of course, for Marussia and HRT. Those two teams, though, look as though they're launching their cars on the third and final test in Barcelona that starts on the 1st of March. So Fernando Alonso says Ferrari are still a long way from having a quick car. The Spaniard initially struggled to match the lap times of Red Bull and McLaren in the test week at Jerez, but before finishing top of the pile on Friday's final session, many people have been speculating that was a run on on a low fuel load and on softer tyres. Not a glory run. Ferrari admitted themselves that it wasn't a glory run. They don't want to do it. There was no need for glory runs, but they would have probably done that, and most definitely done that time on a low fuel run on softer tyres, just to reassure their fans, their tifosi. But with the opening race just 31 days away now, on the 18th, Alonso told Spanish daily AS, in quote, "It's still early and there is much work to do to understand the many changes to the car compared to last season. We are maybe at 20% of what we know, but in the next test we will try to achieve the rest." Big trouble. Massa as well, quoting that he struggled to get used to the car. He's struggling. It's very apparent. It's inconsistent going through the corners, very inconsistent to every single corner. and that's what you don't need in an unstable car, especially if it's unpredictable, because then the driver loses confidence and he can't go to his full speed. It's not very good at all. Things don't look promising for Ferrari. I know it's very early days and they'll put upgrades onto the car, but it seems once again their biggest enemy, the wind tunnel, has come back to bite them. They had loads of problems with that last year, with the correlation of the wind tunnel to the real thing on track was out. They said they sorted that out for this year's car. Pat Fry has admitted to saying, there's still a few problems with it. It's not completely sorted out, but it's much better than last year's. Well, it's always a risk when you make a completely new car, different philosophies, because you don't know. It's just completely new. It's like a brand new car, a production car. There's new parts, new buttons. You need to learn. It's a completely different animal to the previous car, so it's different setups. But the car, it seems, when they try and go around a corner, it's unpredictable. If they fix the entry and the car's better in entry, it seems to struggle more on the exits. You can't get the throttle down. But of course, they wouldn't have been focusing on performance runs on that first test. So they still got 2 tests to do, but it's not what you want to do, because normally you know if your car's going to be quick or not on the first test. Even though you're not doing a performance run, you generally have a good feeling of the car. It's stable and you can trust it and it's comfortable to drive. Even if it's not the quickest car and it lacks a bit of downforce, at least you've got that setup and it feels good. Otherwise, Ferrari look to have a tough start to the season. So Lotus bosses have said they're delighted with how Kimi Raikkonen is progressing at his new team, Lotus F1. His last stint in F1, Raikkonen, he had a reputation of not being a driver that really cared, not having the same motivation at Ferrari. Ferrari noticed that as well. They wanted a driver who could really spear them on. They felt as though he wasn't really a team leader, motivator, like Alonso is today. But Raikkonen's come back. I think he's refreshed, and I think at the end of his F1 first stint, he was a bit tired of how everything was, and I think he's enjoying it a lot more now. He's coming to a new team that aren't as such. He hasn't got as much pressure on him. He's starting again, fresh. It's like start rebirth of his career in F1. So he'll be enjoying it more. No pressure on his shoulders. He can start from a clean sheet of paper. He's had to get used to the car, but Lotus have said he smiles a lot when he's with us, but most importantly, that he says he feels more like part of a family. I think Kimi has a public image that honestly, from what we've seen, does not translate into how he really is. He's a very hard worker. He's very good at providing feedback and has a good team spirit. So that was Gerard Lopez, who's the co-boss at Genie Capital, who own Lotus F1. So the Lotus team were very happy with him. Just a last quote, he said, once we talked to him, once we understood why he was coming back, we really felt comfortable. If you look at what happened at the test, nobody can say that he's not on the pace. Of course, Raikkonen does look very good. Once again, very early doors. No team would have been doing any performance runs as such. They're all just collecting data, making sure that their cars are like Ferrari. In Ferrari's case, they don't want to have what Ferrari have had. They want a nice, good car. Everyone apart from Ferrari, really, seem to be happy with how the car went, how their cars went on the first test. Well, that's it for today's F1 update. I'll be back on next weekend. Of course, much more news to talk about, and I've written on my website, www.lewisroundf1.co.uk. Check that out, new name, and of course Facebook and Twitter, Lewis Round F1. Please like and follow. But thank you very much for listening. Please comment, rate and subscribe, and I'll be back next week.